entrepreneurs to rise, innovate, and create lasting impact. And today I have my special guest, the cash flow expert and the entrepreneurial advisor, no other than Mr. Chris Miles. Welcome, Mr. Chris, on Entrepreneurship 101. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I
Yeah. As you mentioned, I'm the anti-financial advisor. Early in my entrepreneur journey, I started out as the traditional financial advisor, telling you to set it, forget it, save it forever, and hopefully someday you'll have something. However, after 4 years doing that, I realized something pretty quick. I sat down with my dad, who actually he passed away, but this was 20 years ago. I'd sat down with my dad, who was the penny pinching saver. He was cheap. He wanted to save everything, spend nothing, and of course he was even debt free. And as I looked at his finances, I said, Dad, here's the deal. You're 61 years old. If you wanted to retire today, you have to die in about 5 or 6 years because that's when you'll run out of money. And of course he said, well, that's not what I want to hear. What do I do? I said, I don't know. You did everything right from what I teach as a financial advisor. And that's when I realized it wasn't right. It was actually not working at all. And most people aren't retiring well. They don't have the financial freedom they always desire. They save and they slave away for decades only to find out it's just not enough. And so I actually ended up leaving just a few months later, found real estate investing, started doing some things with that. And when I was 28, almost 29 years old, back in 2006, I had enough passive income coming in that I was able to be, as Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad would say, I was out of the rat race, right? I was financially independent, had enough passive income to pay my bills. And of course, I thought, well, that's awesome. Now what? And I ended up coming out of retirement in 2006, and when 2007 came out to start teach people how to become financially free, only to then struggle. I started a brand new business with some partners in 2007, right as the recession was about to hit. And our market, which were real estate investors, they were all going broke during that time. Our company was going broke. My real estate was suffering. And the next thing you know, I went from what was financially free to all of a sudden over $1 million in debt. And I had to dig out of that hole. I was able to do it where by the end of 2016, after a lot of sacrifice and suffering and creativity, and even in my own business and things like that, was able to claw my way back out of that $1 million debt hole and was able to not just pay it off, but I was even able to become financially free again by the end of 2016. And so that's what I teach business owners to do is I teach them how to create enough cash flow now. How do we have enough cash flow today? Not 30, 40 years from now, but right about now. How do we create financial freedom today so that you work because you want to, not because you have to, which is why my book is called Work Optional Blueprint, right? Because it's about how do we become work optional by having enough passive income to have that freedom.
Yes, I want now, not tomorrow, my financial independence. Now, people. So today, let's talk about become work optional with multiple streams of passive income. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Chris. Thank you. The term passive income is often misnomer. It usually requires a significant upfront work or capital. Let's redefine for a conversation. What is the most honest, realistic definition of a passive income stream in the context of becoming truly work optional?
Yeah, you're right. Passive income has been, overused and abused, over the last many years, right? I would say
Mm-hmm.
this is that most people talk about passive income. They're talking about creating a whole brand new business, which is not passive at all. Starting that Etsy business or online shipping or whatever it might be is definitely not passive, is it? When I talk about passive income, I mean it's truly hands off, which means your money is doing the work. Now, if you don't have money, guess what? You're the one doing the work, right? You're the one that has to offer time or energy. If you don't have money, then it's time or energy you have to exchange to be able to get more money. But if you do have money, say that from your business, you become profitable, you have extra savings, things that you can use, that money can be used to create passive income where it's hands off. And that's specifically in places like I had mentioned in real estate. But understand this is that when I invest in real estate, I'm not the one doing the real estate. For example, the least passive thing I have is I've got rental properties, but I'm not the property manager. I have somebody else managing the properties. They're the ones that find the tenants, not me. They're the ones that collect the monthly checks and then just pay it to me. They're the ones that do all the work. If they have maintenance issues, they go and do it, not me. So I can be hands off on that investment, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
occasionally I do have to get hands on. And yeah, in the beginning, for example, when I had to buy the property, I had to go and, go do the bank loans to get the mortgage and things like that on it. That was some work up front. But literally, like my investments, I am hands off. I lend money to real estate investors too. I become the bank for real estate investors where they pay me interest to borrow my money. And I'll get paid anywhere usually between 10 and 12%, sometimes more. I also have partnerships where, yes, I'm in a business, but again, I'm the financer. I use my money as that's used to keep the business going, but they're the ones doing all the work, buying and selling raw land, and make over 12,000 a month doing that. So understand that I become a partner even in those businesses, but I'm not the one doing the work. I have the real estate investors do the work. I'm the one that finances them. And that's where it becomes really, truly passive. Now, it doesn't mean passive means brain off because everybody thinks brain off when it comes to passive. No, that's not it. It's not just forget about it and it just pays me forever and I never have to think about it. No, I manage it. I still watch it because whatever you watch improves and grows. This is true in business too. Whatever you ignore in business as well will decay and leave you. For example, if you ignore your employees, they're going to leave you. Just like if you ignore your spouse will leave you, right? If you ignore your
Mm-hmm.
kids, they'll leave you. If you ignore your teeth, they'll leave you, right? Whatever you ignore leaves you. So you got to make sure you're paying attention, but it doesn't mean you have to be working part-time or full-time to be able to make it work. It just means that you have to have a stewardship over it. You're managing it. But for me, that management takes minutes per month, not hundreds of hours a month like many people do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely stewardship, people. The work optional goal is much a psychological as it financial. Beyond a number, what does this state of mind actually feel like, Mr. Chris? Is it more about autonomy, security, or a freedom to pursue the meaningful work without financial pressure?
It could be all the above, right?
Mm.
When I talk about work optional, it means you have enough passive income coming in that you don't have to keep working, right? Your bills at home are covered and paid for. But this is where it becomes work optional because I'll tell you, for me, this is true because even though I did it twice, I couldn't fully just quit working. That to me was actually depressing. I was very
Yes.
depressed, even in 2017, early 2017. I was, staying in California. We left Utah for the winter to go stay in California. Did that for months, and I was depressed. I needed something to believe in, something to work at and do and solve because I'm not the kind of person to just sit on a beach and do nothing. And I think a lot of people are like that, is that they want to keep doing something, but they want to do it on their terms. They want to be able to do it because they want to, not because they have to. They want to be able to do it, say, because I love it. And that's the thing. My business, I do it because I love it and I know I'm helping a lot of people. To me, it's about impact and a mission. And so, yes, becoming work optional opens that up for you because you're not so worried about it. And I'll tell you, as a business owner, man, becoming work optional is powerful because here's
Mm-hmm.
what's crazy. Yeah, I'll tell you, because Daniel, when I became work optional the second time, like in 2017, I didn't need the money anymore. I didn't have to keep working. I kept doing my podcast. I've had my podcast now going on 12 years. But other than that, I wasn't doing a whole lot. I was doing very, very part time work and maybe working 5 hours a week, getting depressed. For me, magic numbers at least 10 hours a week. But when I had that financial freedom, when I didn't need the money, it's interesting from a sales perspective, people wanted to hire me more. And you've probably seen this true to be true in your own life. Whenever you're desperate for business, you're desperate for money, that's when nobody wants to pay you. You know this because you've seen other people do it to you. When they're desperate
True.
for business and money, they drive you away.
Uh-huh.
I call it business breath, right? It
Mm-hmm.
reeks so badly that you just want to get away from them. But when you don't need it, but you're confident knowing that you're there, that you can help them, that they get more from you than you're getting from them. When you come from that place of power, people say yes. And they say yes a
Mm-hmm.
lot more often. And I think that's the one thing that is so powerful about becoming work optional. It's not that it's necessary for you to become powerful in business, but if you can have other streams of income coming in beyond just your one business stream of income, and I don't mean multiple business streams because that can get out of hand, right? But I mean when you have your money working harder for you, so then you get to choose what you do with your time and your money too. And then you can work in business from a place of power, knowing that you're there because you help people, not because you need the money.
The
You
money.
come from a powerful place and people sense it and people want and are attracted to that and want to do business with you.
You love of what you're doing. Probably, I like the signage at your back. Live your life now, not tomorrow.
Yes.
Hmm. Definitely. Live it now, people. Live now. Many people choose this dream to escape a job they hate. What is the
Mhm.
danger in building a lifeboat strategy fueled by resentment versus an art strategy built from a place of clarity and purpose?
Very true. Yeah. Yeah. When you're trying to escape something, like if you're trying to escape a job you hate,
Mm-hmm.
often you probably create more work and more pain than you need to. Give you an example. I had a client where his passion was helping young men, teenage boys. He wanted them to become great men, right? Not just spoiled brats. And so his platform to do that was through baseball. And now he wasn't a high school baseball coach. He was doing a city league. So he was getting paid zero. He was doing it for free. And his thing is when he first came to me was, Chris, I want to be able to get out of this job so then I could go do this, do what I love full time. I want to be able to do my passion. And I'll tell you, for a while, we schemed, we came up with different strategies and things like that. We helped him improve his cash flow so that it could make it easier to leave his job. But then after a while, I realized something. I said, listen, you hate your job. You know, you say you hate your job, but you've also told me that your job is very flexible, which allows you to coach baseball. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. And let me ask your wife. And I turned to his wife. I said, hey, listen, when when Bob, when Bob's in his baseball season, what kind of man is he during that time of year? She said, "Oh, he's so happy. He loves it. I mean, he's just on cloud 9. He's so much better husband during baseball season than when it's the off season." I said, "Well, that's part of the problem. Baseball's not all year long, is it?" And I turned back to Bob. I said, "Bob, here's the thing. What if we recontextualize your job? Because the truth is, your job is fueling and funding your passion. And the great thing about your job is that you could have way worse jobs. This job actually is flexible that allows you to take off time whenever you need it to go live your passion by being a baseball coach. So, yeah, you're not getting paid to be a baseball coach, but think about it this way: you're literally living the life of your dreams because of this job. And all of a sudden, Bob's perspective started shifting. He's like, you know what? You're right. This job is actually amazing. I've been looking at it as a burden, but in truth, it's the thing that gives me the freedom to do what I love. And so when he recontextualized that, what was interesting is that he kept doing what he loved. He kept working the job. The job was funding his passion. And eventually, he did get offered a position for a paid baseball coaching position, and in which I knew it was going to happen eventually, anyways. But the cool thing is he didn't need it by that point. By that point, he'd already separated. He already became grateful for what he had. And I think you have to be careful is that when you're trying to run away from something, sometimes you prolong the pain longer than it should be, just like Bob did. But instead, if you can say, you know what, this is literally fueling and allowing me to be able to get faster, especially if you're trying to do your business as a side hustle and you want to quit your job to go into business full time, look at your job as like a blessing. Look at your job as something that's incredible because it's allowing you to be able to do what you want to do, to be able to live that passion or be able to do that business that will eventually become something that you can do full time.
Definitely. And Mr. Chris, as a cash flow expert and anti financial advisor, what are your short term and long term goals?
are my short-term and long-term goals. You know,
Please.
short term is getting my business to run without me. I got to experience that firsthand. I mentioned my father. He had passed away a few months back. I've
Mm-hmm.
spent more than half that time in the last few months out of town dealing with state issues and things like that, where I've barely been able to focus on my business. And I'll tell you, business is hard. There's no way of sugarcoating it. Business is hard, but it's nice to know that I have a team around me to help support me. So I've had to rely on them more. Where I'm the kind of guy that's like, I want to take charge. I want to be involved in everything. I'm pretty much got my hands in everything, right? And having to step back and let them do the work and
Do.
even do it better than I do anyways is a big lesson. So short term is allowing me to trust my team to be able to really uh, run the company without me. Long term, if you're looking at, by the end of 2030, I want 1,000 families financially independent. I want them to be able to say that they are work optional, but they have enough passive income that they can pay all their bills, regardless of if they have a job or not, or if they have their business or not. And so that's kind of my goal, and I want the impact to keep going. And that's the reason I keep doing what I'm doing. The whole reason my company is called Money Ripples is because it's the ripple effect I want to create in the lives of others. Because here's what I've learned is that as you're able to create more financial freedom in your own life, you stop worrying about yourself. You stop worrying about your family and just taking care of your own needs. You start to open up and look around you and say, who else can I serve? Who else can I help? And I noticed this firsthand is that I saw a client where they're out of North Dakota, and this guy was working 5, 6 days a week in his business, completely trapped in it, exhausted by the weekend, to where he was a great father, but he just wasn't as present as he would like to be. Well, in just a matter of a few months, we freed up $6,000 a month between his business and his personal life. So 6,000, that's over $70,000 a year that he was able to have back in his possession again. And what happened? He decided to take the weekends off. He relaxed. He stopped worrying about work so much and realized I could be home. And you know what he did with that first $6,000 he saved? He bought a $6,000 four wheeler. Now, there would be other financial people out there that would say, "Oh, that's horrible. He blew his money. That's stupid." No, I knew otherwise, and his wife did too. His wife said, "Listen, Chris, like I know we would get judged for that, but here's what's great is that every single weekend, not only is he taking the time off, but he's going out four wheeling with our kids. He's playing with the kids. He's present. He's there for them. You understand that $6,000 a month didn't just get a four wheeler; it bought my husband's time back. My kids got their father back, and I got my husband back. That's the power of cash flow. And that's the ripple effect that I realized. I realized it wasn't just affecting him, it was affecting his kids, creating a new legacy to continue generations beyond him. It benefits the community, the country, and ultimately creates a ripple effect across the world. And that's when the name Money Ripples came to my mind.
Very well said, Master Chris. You need an applause for that. Empowering answer indeed. And good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success.
I
And
appreciate that.
well, and for that piece of advice as well. So can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yes, I would say this. If you're looking for a book right now, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen is a great short read. That's fantastic, especially if you're looking to do this as a business owner. Also, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Another great book. I think both of those are must read books if you're starting out in business.
Yes, they are so good, people. Please read them because they are one of a kind. Let's demystify the launch phase. For a time based asset like online course or membership, what does the minimum viable product process look like? How do you validate demand before investing months to build time, Mr. Chris?
Ask, ask people, poll people, and then get them to vote with their money. Because sometimes people will say something's a good idea. They're like, yeah, you should do that. But then when you ask them, well, put the money up for it, they'll say, oh, never mind. Right. And then it's not a good business. I tell you, even when I had my business, I was in a Facebook group, and this group was focused around like kind of like spirituality, preparations, things like that. And I started seeing some questions come out. Some people were saying, how do I make money off my passions? How do I make
Mm-hmm.
money from doing what I love? And I knew, because I had a program before that I had created to help people do that. I actually did with a guy named Garrett J. White, who's does like Wake Up Warrior. It's kind of popular on social media and stuff. And we had created a program together, but I hadn't done it in a few years. And so I asked them right there in that group, I said, listen, if I create a program that will show you how you can take your talents and your gifts and your passions and be able to monetize it, who would be interested? And the likes blew up. People are like, me, I would do it. And so now understand, I didn't have an actual product at that point, even though I had done it as a live course. I never actually did anything online with it. And so I said, so immediately after I got all that feedback, I did another post. I said, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to do I think it was 4-day. I was like, I'm going to do a 4-day live masterclass called Monetize Your Divine Genius. And I'm going to teach how to do that, but I'm only opening up for 20 spots for $50 a piece. So I was like 20 spots only for $50 a piece. That thing filled up like that. There's people waiting on a wait list to do another one. Cool thing is I made $1,000. Even cooler is I recorded that course to turn it into an online product that I can then sell for hundreds of dollars. And so that's the thing, is that, when you're trying to launch or figure out something, find out, what are people wanting? Because the real key to making more money is, how do you create value? How do you solve problems? You need to become a solutions provider. You focus on, how do I provide solutions to people? And you listen to what they're asking for. You'll find out they're telling you why they want to pay you. So look for that.
Definitely look for that, people. If your product brings convenience to the people, for sure they will love you. Remove the inconvenience, and totally the product will be click. So, Mr. Chris, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 third season, and my food 101 in sixth season too. Geography 101 love letters, a movie 101 review, music 101 in fifth season, science 101, sex 101 in fourth season. Spiritual Awakening, yes, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcasts. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Mr. Chris, for listeners inspired by overwhelm, what is the single concrete week assignment you would given to them to move from a fantasy to action? Is it a savings audit, a skill inventory, or launching a tiny for a sale product?
Repeat that question again.
Yes, definitely. For a listeners inspired but overwhelmed, what is the single concrete week one for them?
I'd say week one is, what's the next step? Like, what is that next step that you need to do to get that launched? Do you already have the product? Do you not? I think what people usually need to start with the most, especially in business, is finding that need, right? What do people really need, and how can you uniquely solve it? If you can answer that question, that's where the marketing falls much easier into place. Again, don't just do what you love. Do what you love, the money will follow is a lie. That's not the case. There's so many people that love a lot of things and don't make a dime from it, right? It's not do what you love and money will follow. It's do what you love that others love you doing, and then the money can follow, especially if you know how to market and do the right things. So find something you can help people with, do that, find a way to uniquely solve that problem, and then market the crap out of
it. Yes, marketing is the hardest thing to do, but once you are doing it already and you know where you go, for sure you will be successful, like Mr. Chris. Thank you again, Mr. Chris. And can you please invite our listeners to support your podcast, your advocacy, your business, or whatever project that you're doing right now?
Yeah. Anything that's Money Ripples, at Money Ripples on social media. moneyripples.com for the website, and then the Money Ripples podcast you can follow on all platforms.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Chris Miles because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering episodes of the podcast itself, more and more empowering advocacy likely to rise. So I have one more question, Mr. Chris, before I will let you go. Many people overlook semi-passive or active income to a passive bridges. What are the example of a service-based or consulting work that can be systematically productive or leveraged into more passive model over time?
Starting with one-on-one coaching is what I did. And when I started with one-on-one coaching and having an upfront fee that I charge, I eventually graduated to having a subscription-based model, almost like a phone a friend option. Like, how can you access your coach on a regular basis? Have them pay a retainer. I have clients that have been paying me for over a decade, month after month after month after month, just to keep me on call, just in case they need me for anything. So I think that's a fantastic way to have a subscription service that you can use in your business.
Well said, Mr. Chris Miles. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Marticom people, see you soon.